I'm Malcolm Gallagher, and you're watching BVTV coming from the UK studios of BizVision. Now, my head was buzzing after my meeting with my guest today for the first time. So much to talk about on your behalf, but so little time to do it. That's why in this return visit, I'm going to focus on one subject and keep that focus. Well, we'll try. Actually, it's a subject that all of us should be focused on. You see, without a customer, we don't eat, do we? So why is customer service around the world so poor, terrible, or any other word you want that can't be said on BVTV? My guest is an expert on great customer service. So let's say hello again to nationally syndicated radio show host and author of Customer Service is Dead, delivering 6-star service in a 1-star world. Welcome, Mitche Graf. Hello, Mitch.
Malcolm, happy National Hawaiian Shirt Day. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it is National Hawaiian Shirt Day.
Are you sure? You're not just inventing
No,
that?
it's not.
That's not just a Mitchism, is it?
Every Friday, I like wearing a Hawaiian shirt because I really believe that with the right attitude, every day can be a Saturday and every day should be enjoyed and lived and relished. My 7-year-old daughter right now is sitting out on the couch waiting for daddy to get done with his interview with Mr. Malcolm so I can make the world famous chocolate chip pancakes on Friday morning. So
whereabouts are you today, though? Where are you?
Yeah, but if we stay on one subject during this interview, I'll be surprised. My guess is 4. But my money's down on 4 subjects.
Your money's down on 4. Go on. Yeah, so where are you? Where are you?
Yeah, well, right now I'm in Canby, Oregon, on the west coast of the United States, up in the Northwest, where we've lived through everything from fires to extreme heat. About a month ago, we had 117 degrees, which is about 48 degrees Celsius. Very, very warm. And a lot of places had the heat. But last year, we had fires that evacuated the entire Willamette Valley, which is where most of the population in Oregon lives. Then we had the heat. Then we had an ice storm. We had no power for 21 days. It's like all of a sudden God is punishing us for whatever reason. And then you got COVID worldwide on top of all that. So, and customer service definitely has been challenged through all that. And we'll talk about that during the interview. But I'm just happy to be with you again. It's always a joy to spend time with you. And I hear your wife is out of town this weekend. So you're going to be watching some Olympics on the telly, right?
Well, you're not supposed to say that, Mitch, because she'll know now because she watches everything afterwards. Mitch, thank you for returning to BVTV, though. I'm looking forward to chatting about my favorite subject, customer service. Now, we both spent a considerable number of years in the hospitality business, and both of us know the vital importance of good customer service. Sadly, so many other businesses don't. Viewers and listeners, my chat with Mitch will be in 3 parts. Now, first, I'll ask him about the state of customer service around the world today. Is it getting better, getting worse? Has the pandemic put a form of barrier between customer and the business? In part 2, I want to ask him about the current vogue of CX, or customer experience. How is it different from customer service? And is it where we should be focusing? And in part 3, I'm going to ask him to tell us some stories where excellence he's a great storyteller, by the way, Mitch, is a great storyteller, where excellence in customer service has paid off for a business. But first, Mitch, can you briefly tell us the book Customer Service is Dead? What do you mean by that? What does the book aim to do for business owners wanting to be successful at customer service?
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, Malcolm. Yeah, the reason I kind of wrote this book, and like you said earlier, I've been in hospitality and I've been in the service industry for most of my adult life. And I think no matter what business you're in, customer service is a big part of that. Even if you have an online e-commerce only, you still need to serve that customer. You need to make sure that customer experience, as you described, every single touch point, from the moment they hear your name for the first time to the point that they cut you a check or give you a credit card, to the years beyond that. Every touch point has to be thought about, has to be painstakingly broken down and make sure that the systems are customer centric. And I think what's happened, first of all, the internet came along and kind of devalued that human interaction. It made it not so important that those frontline employees get the proper training and the tools that they needed to be able to deal with. Customer service has a bad reputation because we hear that name and we assign it to a person. Like this is the customer service person for company X.
Yeah.
And so to me, customer service, customer experience I prefer using the term customer experience, because if you start looking at things that way, and you say, okay, what kind of experience is my customer with my business? What kind of experience are they going to have? When are they going to have interaction with my company? And what can I do to make sure that I go above and beyond to not just meet expectations, but to exceed those expectations? If you start looking at things that way and kind of shift the mindset, it starts opening up a whole new world of possibilities of how you choose to take care of that customer / client / guest, whatever you choose to call the person that gives you money in exchange for a product or service. And the internet kind of changed the dynamics. Well, COVID comes along, and then the whole world stops. And even if you were brick and mortar, you literally were forced to go online. And if you didn't, you just didn't survive. One of my companies, I have 4 companies. One of them is a very busy catering company. And we went from nearly $750,000 down to a little bit less than $10,000 in the year. Most of the other competitors in this area didn't make it. I think probably 65% of people that I know and trust and refer people to are not around anymore. And I've hired some of their employees and bought some of the equipment, but it's just a sad state of affairs, especially in hospitality worldwide, and not just here in Oregon, but worldwide. And so you have the combination of the internet plus COVID really devalue the importance of making sure that those people that have customer contact are given the proper tools so they can take care of that customer experience at a level never seen before. And I think what you're going to see, and I think worldwide, we've kind of dumbed it down. We don't expect a lot from companies anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that's just how it is. It's just bad service. We just expect it. But I really think if we all, you and I, you there in the UK, me here in the United States, and everyone listening and watching, if we have higher expectations, if we expect more from the people that we do business with, there's a saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. Yes. If we all demand more, I think the businesses are going to have to start saying, you know what, we can do a lot better if we just take care of the customers that we got, instead of always going out there trying to get a new guy. Just take care of the old guy, and magic things will happen if you can do that. So, it's an interesting state of affairs right now, Malcolm, all around the world. And I love being right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, let's move into part 1 then, Mitch. Tell us your thoughts about the state of customer service around the world. Is it getting better, getting worse, or has the pandemic put a form of barrier between customer and the business? And I don't just mean with masks and glass partitions. Yeah. I've got this sneaking feeling that companies have dumbed down and said, "Oh, this is a great opportunity for us to raise prices, give lousier service. We'll get away with it."
That's right. And see, I think it's okay to raise prices if you are giving a premium service. I don't think there's any problem with that at all. In fact, I always encourage people, if you start a new business, how can you give more? What can you do to do more for your customer so that you can charge a different price? Because if your price is the same as everybody else's, all things being equal, that customer is going to choose the lowest price. And you do not want to play that game. You'll lose that battle every single time. So the way that you can separate is to delivering what I call that 6-star service. And I call the 6-star service manifesto. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. There's 6 stars, 6 points on the star. And each one of those points, I think, is a promise that we need to make our customers during that experience, during that train ride, during the roller coaster ride that is your relationship with the person that gives you money for a product or service. So I think the state of affairs right now, there's haves and have-nots. There's companies that totally get this, that are leaning forward and leaning into that customer experience and making sure that everything is tip-top shape because they had time, right? We had a lot of time. We had 16 months to sit there and twiddle our thumbs and figure out, okay, what are we going to do with our business? Are all the systems working properly? What can we do to grow? What new products can we look at? What can we innovate? And so there's some companies that have really excelled. But on the other side of the coin, the other 50%, 60% of the companies are actually doing worse because they did not take advantage of the downtime to reinvent themselves, to innovate, to come up with ideas that are different and unique in their industry. And so now that things are opening back up again, their systems cannot handle the inflow. You like going out to dinner, right? You take your wife to dinner. Yeah.
Well, what? I haven't been out of the house since for 18 months.
What? Are you guys allowed to go to restaurants yet?
No. Well, it's just that this. My wife went the other day with a group of friends and everything, and that for a school reunion at 60. But they. She said, I didn't enjoy it because we were just all sitting in little cubicles. There's not the atmosphere there. And eating is more than food. It's emotion as well, isn't it?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And when things start to open up here in Oregon, and I think what's happening now is the mask mandates are coming back, and they're gonna reinforce the limits and stuff like that, which is really sad. But that's just the state of affairs. But anyway, we all were looking so forward to going out to restaurants and eating and going out to concerts and live events and all those things, right? So what has happened is we've rushed back to the restaurants, the ones that are left. Half of them are gone. Yelp has reported that over half of their businesses are just out of business now. Wow. So we flooded to these restaurants. They're understaffed. Mm-hmm. In the United States, there's still 30%. The hospitality industry is still 30% under full employment. So you go into these restaurants, they're understaffed. You're excited to get there, but then you have to wait a long time before you get a table. Then you got to wait a long time to get that first glass of water. Then nobody refills your water. The food's okay because back of house, they're short-staffed as well. You walk out of there not feeling very good because the experience didn't match up with your expectations. I have a friend that's one of the vice presidents over at Yelp. They are reporting more 1- and 2-star reviews right now than in the history of Yelp, which is an online review place where you can go and give
similar
reviews.
Similar to TripAdvisor.
Exactly. There's more 1- and 2-star reviews right now because of that disconnect. And a lot of it isn't their fault. A lot of it is they just don't have the bodies. But you know what? If you're limited on bodies, you better make sure the bodies you do have are tooled up and trained like you would never believe.
I'm totally with you on that. And it is such a great opportunity, though, to jump ahead, to leap ahead of the competition. I think, I know we were just going to keep to CX, but, here's number 2 diversion, number 1 diversion, or number 2, whatever you want to do. Competitors. Now, I think that too many businesses have not been watching the competitors, and some of those competitors have been slowly but quietly ramping up their advantage, their difference with customer service. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely agree with you 100%. And those are the ones that are rising above it, and they're going to succeed in the future. We're not through this thing yet. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in 30 days, 6 months, a year. We just don't know. All we can do is do the best that we can today for our business, for our employees, for our customers, to make sure that we are servicing their needs. And the old saying, the customer's always right. I don't believe that to be true for even 1 second. If a customer is not going to help you attain your personal lifestyle goals and your professional goals for your business, it is completely okay to say, you know what, Marcia, it sounds like you have, like for a catering example, you sound like you have a great wedding planned, but I don't think we're the best fit for this situation. If you have a pen handy, let me give you a couple of phone numbers to other caterers that I think would do a great job for you. And I know they'd be more in line with what you're looking to do. Do you have a pen handy? Well, that's an easy way of saying, I don't want to work with you, right? Yes, You're not either. You're going to be difficult, the bridezilla, you're going to be hard to work with, or maybe the price point is different than what you're portraying. But whatever it is, it's okay to tell somebody no. It is okay to tell somebody no. But I always say, don't just say no. Give them another option. Pass them on. Give them a phone number. Direct them to a different website. Do something so they oh, well, thank you so much for that. And that will come back around. What goes
around. Of course it does.
I do believe it comes back to you. And you'll get calls from people saying, hey, Joe over at XYZ Catering said I should give you a call. They're busy that day or whatever, but he spoke very highly of you. And they're not saying what's your prices. They come to you already sold because you came via the referral network. And that's something else that good customer experience will bring you is referrals. And guess what, Malcolm? That's free. You don't have to pay pay-per-click for Facebook or LinkedIn ads. That is absolutely free.
Yeah. Listen, just before we move on to part 2, I want to ask you a little additional question in here. We are talking about customer service, and we'll talk about CX in a minute. We are talking about customer service. And to many business leaders, it's a bit of an anathema because they've always sort of gone through the standard operating procedure and, life has been good. They didn't have to do this should we say, almost overboard thing. Where do you think their big skills gaps lie in leaders in implementing this customer service we're talking about?
Well, and it is a top-down and a bottom-up strategy that I think companies need to have on board. It starts with the leader. It starts with that person that writes the paychecks, the leader of the pack, so to speak. It starts with that person and their approach to that customer service, customer experience. But the people that you're hiring on the bottom end, I've always believed that you're better off hiring people, I call them the bottom end employees, but they're the most important ones because they're holding your brand in their hand. What does it hurt to pay an extra £5, an extra $8 an hour? What does it hurt? That's number one. Number two, you need to be able to give your employees that have customer contact the ability to make decisions without you.
Yes.
Which means you have to hire the right people. You can train a skill set. You can train somebody to put a handle on a coffee cup. You can train somebody to put the little screw in glasses. You can, pay somebody to put the metal in the paperclip machine to make paper clips. You can train those skills. You cannot train somebody to be nice, authentically, genuinely nice, and with the servant's heart. You can't really train that, I've found. And so you're better off hiring people that have that servant's heart and then teach them the skill sets, but then give them the ability to make a decision to take care of that customer right then. Not say, let me check with my supervisor. Let me bring somebody else in. No, you make the decision based on what's in front of you right now. I trust you. I hired you because you're a great person. I trust you to do the right thing for the customer and tell me about it later.
Yeah.
And if that were to happen across all the companies, you know how much time that would save and how much frustration on customer points that would
save? The reputation. I mean, the Ritz-Carlton Group, they allow every single employee $2,000, up to $2,000 they can compensate, can't they?
Yep. Up a day.
A day.
So if that's what it takes, I've talked to a couple of guys, and if they need that each day, I mean, obviously you're going to have some training issues if you're doing it every day. But yes, they have the ability, and there's other hotel chains that have done the same thing. You, the employee, can make a decision what you need to do to diffuse a situation, to make a customer okay. And you know what? If you take a bad experience with a customer, and if you do the job correctly, you have now earned a fan for life, not just a customer, but a fan for life. They will send you more referrals. They will stand at the highest mountain and shout your praises because you fixed something that went wrong. And we all make mistakes. You know, that's one of the tenets, I think, of the 6-Star Manifesto is you need to admit your mistakes quickly and fix them quickly.
Yeah.
Don't let them fester. Don't pass it down the road. Don't let the customer give 24 hours to be more frustrated and tell 13 more of their friends. Fix it right now and then move on.
Yeah, I did an interview once with one of the senior managers of TripAdvisor, and they do a lot of analysis. And they were saying that, you know, where somebody's admitted a problem and said, this is what we're doing to put it right, that's where the real applause, you know, came through. Yes. You don't get marked down for that. You actually get marked up, don't you?
And I don't care if it's a small company or large company. If you look at where your customer issues come from, if they're all coming from the same areas, to me, that says that the system is broken somehow, some way. And so you need to break that system down. It might be in shipping. It might be in the telephone tree, the endless telephone tree when you call in. It might be on the ship. I don't know. It could be in anything. You need to break it down to the smallest number of pieces and then rebuild it with fewer moving pieces. Again, with that customer in mind. And if you just take care of your customers, and each customer that you have right now brings you one person in the next year, that's it. Just one new referral in the next 12 months. Yeah. You've just doubled your business.
Yeah. Just work out the value of it.
It's very easy on paper, but I also think it's easy to execute with this right mindset of the 6-Star Service Manifesto. What can I do to go above and beyond, not just meet, but exceed my customers' expectations? I want to make sure I treat them like gold with every interaction. I'm going to fix the problems quickly and efficiently. I'm going to listen more than I talk. You know, a lot of times we think we have to talk because we've been trained. We have a pitch. Just listen to what your customer says. And 99% of the time, it'll diffuse itself. The situation will diffuse itself because they just wanted to talk. They just want to vent and let you know of a frustration or the concern that the item has been back ordered for 4 weeks or whatever it is, and you can't really identify what that problem is until it's face to face with you. And then you need to trust your employee to fix the problem right then and there.
Mitch, you've given us such great value. I'm going to give something back to you now.
Please
before we move to part two. Normally we'll just tell everybody about one URL, but here I'm going double for you. Double. Let me just remind everyone of the URL for your book, which is now, come on, viewers, you can see it on the screen behind me. But for listeners, I'm going to read out both URLs. Mitch has got the book there. You can see it to the screen. No, you can't because you're watching me. But the book is all the W's, 6-star.org. So it's all the W's, number 6 -star.org. Now, for more on Mitch, go to, and again, listeners, you ready with your pencil and everything? All the W's, powermarketing101.com. Let me say that again, listeners, powermarketing101.com. So the 6-star.org and powermarketing101.com. Now, the book is called Customer Service is Dead, and it's published by who Mitch?
Graf Publishing, Power Marketing 101. For the last 6 books I've written, and they've all been business books and one recipe book, we self-published, and we also publish other authors' works as well. I have graphic designers, I have editors, I have copywriters, I have all those people, formatters. And so an author can come to us and say, I got this idea for a book, and we will hold their hand through the whole process, publish it, market it, get reviews, do the press release, do all that stuff for them. So this one is published by my company, which there's goods and bads to self-publishing.
Right.
The good news is you get to control.
What's the 6-star within it then? Tell us about that.
The 6 stars, what they are?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should ask, Malcolm.
Here's one I asked earlier.
If you just imagine, because most stars have 5 points, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we want to talk about Scotch before this interview is done. Okay. Real quick. Not right now, but in a little bit. Anyway, if you look at the points of most stars, there's 5 points. The one that we learned when we were elementary school had 5 points. Well, I'm redefining that. It's 6 stars, and each point is a promise. The first point is to exceed expectations. Second point is to treat customers like gold with every interaction. Star 3 is to correct our mistakes quickly and efficiently. Star 4 is to create an unparalleled culture of customer service excellence. Star 5 is to build a relationship based on mutual respect. And it is a two-way street. And then the last point of the star is never forget that the customer is the most important part of our business. And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in translation, especially today, because things are so chaotic and we're just trying to find our way. A lot of people are just treading water. They're just trying to tread water until this is done. Well, that's the wrong approach. You need to be proactive. You need to be innovative. You need to take action and go out there and figure out ways to shake the bushes yourself, hit the streets, so to speak, and find where your next new client's going to come from. And I'll tell you where they're going to come from is by taking care of the current ones that you have. But anyway, it's a pretty easy read. It's 170 pages. We give the free book at the 6star.org. We ask you to pay a little shipping and handling, or even simpler, you can just go to Amazon. It's available as a Kindle. You can download it as Kindle. I think it's $3.88, or you can get the paperback on Amazon as well and have it in a couple of days. So, it's been very well received. We sold over 20,000 copies the first couple of months, and I'm getting companies that are calling and ordering one book, then they call and order 100. I had one company that ordered 3 the very first week it came out, and then ordered 1,000 books after that. And they're making it required reading for all their frontline employees. They're going to hand it out to every single person that has phone contact and in-person contact within their organization. That makes me feel good. That means we're on the right track. And I think it's a mentality that you're going to see shift, and hopefully it becomes a movement. I really like this to become a movement. And one day I want to have a website for 6-star reviews where you can go and find out in your area, who are the plumbers in my area that don't just give me 5-star service, but 6-star. And guess what? That company's going to have to jump through some hoops. You know, we're working on a thing, 6-star certified. It's a little crystal, right? You can become 6-star certified with going through some training and going through some video consulting and some one-on-ones. and then your company can become 6-star certified. We're still probably 6 months away from launching that, but I really see this becoming a mindset movement that hopefully if we talk again down the road, I'm going to give you an update and say, you know what? Companies all over the world are jumping on board with this 6-star service mentality.
Yeah, well, I'm going to reciprocate straight away, and I'm giving you 6 stars as a guest. I want to ask you about the current vogue of CX, or customer experience. How is it different from customer service? And is it where we should all be focusing?
Yes. And like I said before, customer service, most people hear that word and they think it is a one-time interaction that you have with an employee, not with a whole organization.
No.
When I love Chevron gas, and I go to Chevron gas stations whenever I can. I know I'm going to pay a little bit more. You're going to pay 20 cents a gallon more roughly in the United States for Chevron versus a generic brand or a Shell or something. And I'm okay with that because I know when I go up there, the stations will be clean. I know the employee will say, hey, good morning. How you doing, sir? I don't expect a 10-minute conversation. I just expect that mutual respect that we're talking about. I just want some a little conversation, a little eye contact, a little smile. And at the end, they give me a receipt. Have a great day, sir. Thanks for stopping in. I know I'm going to get that with most Chevrons. So that's part of that customer experience. It's not a customer service. That's not an issue. People think customer service means there's some kind of issue. The customer experience is, I remember back when I was 15 years old, the first time going to Chevron, they used to check your oil and wash your windows and everything. And I still remember that today, 50 years later. And so it's a lifetime of experiences that I've had with that brand. And it makes me feel good. And I know that if I go to a Chevron here and I go to a Chevron in Schenectady, New York, I'm going to get the same kind of treatment and the same kind of experience because they do value those they pay a little bit more to the frontline people. I don't think enough because those people are holding multi-billion-dollar brands in their hands. And by golly, you better give them the proper training. So customer experience, the most companies that I talk to, I mean, I'm religious about preaching that. And I think the guys that get it are approaching their business from a customer experience standpoint and not from here's my customer service agent that I pay, $20 an hour and she represents my company, everything. And anytime we have a complaint, Sally's the one that takes care of it. No, everybody is part of that customer experience, from the shippers, the person that puts the flyer on top of the box. So when you open that box, you get a nice little flyer or a thank you card, handwritten. Thank you so much for your purchase. We appreciate your patronage. We look forward to serving you again in the future. How easy would that be if you ship any kind of a product anywhere? I don't care what industry you're in. How easy it is to get a little thank you card. Maybe a picture of your staff on the front of it and then handwritten. And maybe once a month, you sign 100 of these things and you stick them in the shipping bin. So when it comes time to ship a product, you just grab one of these things that have already been pre-signed by everybody. How easy would that be? And I'll tell you, when I do get a box, and I get lots of stuff from Amazon and all over the place, if I open up and there's a thank you card, I feel special. My experience factor just went up tenfold. And I'm more likely to do business with that company again because they made me feel good. People don't have to remember how much money you spent and how many of the things you bought. You're going to remember how it made you feel.
Yeah. I tell small businesses, small hotels, smaller restaurants who deal with and things like that CX is something where they can have an advantage over a larger chain because often those larger chains, they go through the standard operating procedure and it's robotic. Whereas the smaller business can actually deliver that experience. However, only if the part that they know, that the staff know that they've got to play in it. For example, once where I was doing within the kitchen and when somebody said to me, well, I'm just the dishwasher. And she couldn't understand the part that she played in the experience for the customer. Man. No, fair enough to her. It's because she hadn't been shown that by management. Right. And I had the same, just pre-COVID with a whole group of 12 housekeepers, roommates and that. And they couldn't understand what part they played in the customer experience. Oh, my goodness. Because they were actually touching the customer. I had to be careful how I said that, mind.
I understood. Yeah.
But they were touching the customer before the customer arrived, during the stay, and even afterwards.
See, that's systemic. That comes from the top. That tells me that the people that are in leadership, the managers and maybe the owners, they're not giving those frontline employees the proper kudos and the proper training and the proper encouragement to believe that, hey, you are making a difference. Yeah. I trust you to take care of that customer experience because, you're right. If it's a housekeeper, they're greeting, they're smiling, they're making people feel good. If you're a dishwasher, by golly, if I don't get a clean plate or a dirty glass, my experience just, right? That's one of the most important jobs in the entire restaurant is that dishwasher.
I wasn't blaming the managers, to be honest, Mitch, because, they were doing a good job, but they were just going through it as many of them had learned from larger companies and then had sort of come into management in a smaller business. And they just continued the same robotic and they didn't quite, they got it, by the way, in the end. And themselves, and it's almost like a eureka moment when that happens there, and you just see a certain difference in a business.
Yeah, are you a fan of Harry Potter, the movies?
Yeah, well, my wife is. They've got all the books are all over, and all the DVDs are downstairs. Yeah, my 14 and 16-year-old, they watched it when all 8 movies like 3 years ago. Yeah, they watched it again, and last night was the 8th one, or this whatever the second part, Deathly Hallows. There's a scene where they walk in, he's got the invisibility cloak, walks into a bank, I think, and he walks up to this guy sitting on a hide thing, and he's writing something down. Hello. The guy never looks at him. At least 30 to 45 seconds of the movie is just this guy not acknowledging the customer down there. And then when he does say something, he says, how can I help you? Like, you know what? That's just perfectly describes the customer service situation today in the world, right? We don't feel like we're valued. We don't feel like we matter. And that's where the secret sauce is. If we can figure out how to make those people, our employees, feel special and valued, therefore the customer feel special and valued, you've just brought opportunity for everyone.
Right.
Now, my final part, Mitch, is that you're a brilliant teller of stories. You're a really good teller. And after all, it's how we all learn, though, isn't it? Can you tell us some stories where excellence in customer service has paid off for a business?
Well, this is one. This is on the internet. It's not secret, but I think it's a great story. Morton Steakhouse, which is one of the best steakhouses we have in the United States. There was a guy that was on an airplane and just kind of half-handedly, he said, God, it'd sure be nice to have a Morton steak when I got to the airport in New Jersey or New York. And 2 hours later, he gets off the plane, and guess what was waiting for him? An employee from Morton Steakhouse with not just the steak, but the baked potato with all the fixings and the whole meal, basically brought it to him. Well, first of all, somebody had to see that post. An employee had to see that. They then had to need to check with the manager. The manager had to buy into it to say, you know what? Yeah, this is a great opportunity. Like you said, this is an opportunity. Then they had to hook into the back of house. Somebody had to cook the steak. Somebody had to package it. Somebody else had to drive it to the airport and have a sign that had the guy's name on it and meet him at the gate. So the amount of organizational and corporate support that had to happen for this guy to get a steak at the airport when he got off the plane. And they got so much love from that. I mean, it became viral, obviously, but something simple like that is just somebody taking notice and saying, hey, this is an opportunity for the company I work for. And I want to see if I can run this up the flagpole to see if I can get other people interested. And because the organization is so wonderful at hiring dynamic individuals, everybody said, oh, yeah, I'm in. How can I help? They prepared this beautiful steak, beautiful meal, delivered it to him, and he's a customer for life. And so are a lot of his fans and friends and family and everybody because of something simple like that. The other is a story, and this is a bad story, where a guy had a microwave that wasn't working. It was Whirlpool. Whirlpool's a fine company, right?
Yes.
Very big, probably the biggest. They took it in and said, the warranty expired. I'm sorry. Can't do anything for you. Then he paid for a repair and it didn't work. And it came back and he tried to get something new and nobody would trade for him. And it turned into a fiasco to the point where that became viral. And lots of people started to boycott Whirlpool products. not just the microwave, but Whirlpool corporate, because they did not take care of this customer. Had they just had an employee that said, sir, I'm going to take care of you. Here's a new one. I'll figure out the paperwork on this one that's not working for whatever reason. You take this home. Thank you so much for your patience. Let us know if you have any more problems. That's a 15-second fix. Instead, it turned into a multiple week and month fiasco, literally a fiasco, that turned out to really hurt their brand and their reputation. And I'm sure at the end, it cost them a lot of money because people said, I don't want to do business with a company that has that mentality, right? So that's an example of a good one and a bad one, you know? So
yeah. I'll tell you a couple of stories. Well, one story. When I've been teaching people about using TripAdvisor, I say to everybody, you know, respond to the good, respond to the bad, but forget the ugly. And because there are people out there, you know, who will put a few ugly
right,
ones,
and
but
sometimes you can't do anything about it.
No, just forget them, let them wash over. And the custom that's obviously focused upon customer service, or the business folks on customer service, they will do that. They'll respond to the good and they'll respond to the bad, because, you know, when there's a bad one come around, a bad comment come around, then if you responded to the good, it far outweighs as far as people are concerned, you know. But if you don't respond to both good and bad, then that person looking at your reputation management, whether it's Yelp or TripAdvisor, starts to think, yeah, they're only interested in the good ones, aren't they?
You're right. And you do need to have a person within your organization that is in charge of keeping track of your online reputation. And even if it is just giving a thumbs up, you know, of a post that is positive for your business, even if it's that person then knows that you have noticed, you've taken notice of their comment. And if it is bad, you better believe you better get on that right away. If you can contact the customer, call them and diffuse it. And a lot of times those 1-star reviews, those negative reviews can be turned around into, you know what, I had a bad experience, but man, they went overboard. They not only fixed it, they exceeded my expectations. And if I could give them a 6-star, I would.
Yeah.
And I want everyone that's listening and watching, I want you to ask yourself the question, what can I do today to deliver 6-star service to my customer / client / guest?
Which reminds me, at this
make their life better.
Okay, that reminds me at this stage, Mitch, just to remind everybody before we do finish today, 6-star.org, 6-star.org.
Or Amazon.com.
Yes.
Or Amazon. Whatever country you're in.
Yes, I got you. Like my guest today, Mitche Graf, I passionately believe in and know of the importance of a customer focus. I've had that culture all my life, and nothing will change it. After all, as I said earlier, without a customer, my family doesn't eat. I trust you have too have enjoyed and benefited from my return visit to someone who has also that big passion for customer excellence. Thanks, Mitche Graf, for a brilliant return interview.
Well, we're going to add one more little thing at the end here. Let's talk about Scotch for 30 seconds. We were talking about it before you pressed record. When you are sipping a nice single malt Scotch, that is a customer experience unlike hardly any that this universe knows. And the older the Scotch, the more care you know they took to put into that bottle, the more you relax, the more you enjoy that moment of just sipping on a really nice single malt, whether it's a 12-year-old, 18-year-old, and just taking that mindset, taking that philosophy and apply it to your business. How can you slow the process down so my people enjoy the ride with me more? That's where you're going to make a big difference right there. So thanks for letting me add that little bit to the end of the interview.
No, that is brilliant. Yeah. And, continuing with the Scotch thing, I'm just going to throw you in a stupid Malcolm factoid, by the way.
Oh, yes, please.
Hail to the chief.
Oh, yeah.
Because we did say we'd stick to focus, but I'm going again. Hail to the chief. Well, Hail to the chief comes from a Scottish song in the book, The Lady of the Lake, written by Sir Walter Scott. Okay. And this coming week, when your video goes out for publication, it is the 250th birthday of Sir Walter Scott.
Oh,
so I thought I'd just wrap the scotch around, you know.
A Malcolm factoid. I like
a Malcolm factoid, used as factoid, but hail to the chief. And you were certainly a chief in customer experience. Thanks, Mitch.
Oh, it's been an honor, Malcolm. Thanks again.